Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet-Dale.
I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet-Dale. Welcome to Queer and Pleasant Strangers. I remember how to start this show. I'm tired. It's a podcast. Two queer trans women. That's us. We're wifey types. We talk about media we've consumed in the week and such.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah. Cold. It's a cold time of year now.
It's cold, it's dark, it's all the things that make my body go, it's time to hibernate. Mm-hmm. It's time to shut down all non-essential systems, which apparently today means brain.
I need warm, thick liquids.
Yeah.
I need soups. I need stews.
I
need custard.
I've got to divert all the energy to keeping myself warm and toasty. No energy remaining with which to operate the think meats.
No think meats.
Well, we've probably done stuff the last few weeks.
Couple of weeks, we've done things. What have you played?
Some of those things are probably things we played. What have I played? I've started replaying Dragon Age: The Veilguard a little bit.
For a third time?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I did like my personal playthrough, and then I've been playing through on stream, and I've started doing another playthrough. I've not gotten very far into it, but I've started a little bit of another playthrough, just because I realised I've put probably 100 hours into it since launch, purely playing as the mage. I've not played as any of the other character classes.
Right, yeah.
I was just curious how the other character classes played.
Any good?
So I've been starting playing as the warrior. So very much more based around melee weapons. I have a big two-handed weapon that I've been having some fun with. There is one big mechanical difference that is taking me some getting used to as someone who played as the mage first. I do have some ability, if I need to do ranged attacks as the warrior. Mm-hmm. It's basically throw a Captain America shield and have it bounce back to you, which is like kind of cool. Mm. And I assume somewhere on the skill tree is a thing to like probably make it bounce around or whatever. But the problem is, playing as the mage, you had this ranged attack option that was really good for like, oh, there's a bunch of pots and I want to destroy all of them really quickly to, like, see if there's anything collectible behind them.
Link mode.
Yeah, I had the, I could get my staff out and basically fire a laser beam and point it around and it would just smash everything I pointed it at. Whereas I don't have that now. I can throw my shield at a pot and it bounces back to me and I throw it at another pot. It takes a while to, like, clear out a row of things. I miss my laser beam.
Lazy beam.
I'm having fun with hitting things at close range with my big heavy hitty thing, and it feels satisfying. And I know logically there's no justification for it, but I want my laser beam back. It's the one thing that by playing as the mage first, every other class is going to be like, yeah, but I don't have the cool laser that just like, oh, I see a room full of pots, like that room when you're entering Ocarina of Time, when you're entering Castletown, and you turn to the right and there's that one room full of pots. Imagine going into that room and just using a laser to smash all the pots, and then having to go back to not having a laser to smash all the pots. Clearly I picked...
Analog pot smashing.
Yeah, I clearly picked the best character class the first time round.
You've spoiled yourself now.
Every character class is inferior because it doesn't have the pot smashing laser. This concludes my thoughts on playing as the warrior so far. What have you been playing recently?
Me? I started playing Vermintide 2.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, so this is basically what if Warhammer, not 40k, just one Warhammer, not 40... The other three...
You don't need to be greedy. You don't need that many Warhammers.
Yeah, the other 39,999 Warhammers will turn up later, I'm sure. But right now, singular Warhammer. It's basically Left 4 Dead, but with rat people instead of zombies.
Yep.
And trolls instead of tanks. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, it's... I don't really know what else to say about it from that. Like, it's quite spectacular. Yeah. Scale-wise, it does a lot. Because, obviously, I mean, I don't remember what year Left 4 Dead 2 came out, but things have changed since then. So there is more space for, we will create a huge environment. And you see that thing in the distance, you're going to that.
Yeah.
You're actually going to that, rather than it just being a bit of set dressing or a low poly. I mean, by technical term of memory compressing, it probably is a low poly version of itself at some point, but yeah, it's very cool to just go, there's these huge set pieces, like portals and things in, and it took me a little while to get back into the logic of, because obviously I'd never played any of these maps, so just playing them through the first time.
Yeah.
Getting back into the logic of how am I getting around, and it does sort of have that same language of, yes, but there's a tipped up cart by that fence. That's how you're moving into the next area. And getting an eye for, okay, where is the progress? It's over there because...
What is the thing that's like, oh, you placed that there so I can do this. That's what you want from me.
Yes. But also, like, a lot of the areas do have, like, multiple paths you can take to go through. And then they wrap nicely back together. Like, I played a little bit of the roguelite mode last night.
Yeah.
And that's got, like, because you're playing, or I accidentally quick played into playing with randos. So I was just like, oh, okay, there's we're all like various points we'd split up and gone in different directions, and then sort of all looped back together by virtue of just how the level was designed, and that's been quite nice. It's a good way of doing, like, this is supposed to be a village, so we want it to feel like a village, but also it is very much a level in a video game, so it needs to be practical and interesting and fun, rather than we just recreated the city, which, generally speaking, is less interesting a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I think they've done a really good job with the level design. I have enjoyed that so far. And I'm playing as the battle wizard.
Mm-hmm.
She's on fire a lot. And she's quite snarky, and she sounds like Zoe Wanamaker. So, I've been enjoying having, like, a fire laser beam and a big flaming sword, and just attacking Skaven lots. I played last night. Played against some randos in quick match, and I appreciated that there didn't appear to be any voice chat. If there was, no one was using it, and I was like, this is great. I don't have to listen to strangers. That was one problem with Left 4 Dead. You could occasionally get someone who's just like, I'm just going to leave my mic on the whole time.
Here's me having a shouting match with my partner, or listening to music through a very tinny speaker, or just shouting some slurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't miss that.
No.
But it's been nice to have something, because I used to play a lot of Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah.
And towards, like, the end of my time with it, it was getting harder and harder to play, because the servers, less of them seemed to be Steam servers, and more of them were like, hey, we've set up like a shop system, so you kill a number of things, you'll get points. You can buy guns that you haven't seen anywhere else in the game.
Yeah.
But apparently there are models for, so like the number of times I'd go into a level and it'd be like every enemy is a tank. So now there's like 7 tanks on screen. It's like, this isn't fun to me. I'm sure to someone it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it got harder and harder to just find a regular game of Left 4 Dead, so I'm glad that is an option. So yeah, enjoying Vermintide 2 so far.
Yeah.
What about you? What else have you played?
I've been playing a bunch of Vampire Survivors. I am still plugging away at the Ode to Castlevania DLC. I thought that DLC was, like, huge and expansive and, like, you know, very good bang for your buck. And then I hit what I assumed was the ending, and then there was more. It was, hey, what if that map you've been exploring all this time, what if there was more map to that map? And what if, you know, you thought you just, like, saw the last character, here's, like, another 20 characters, and here's, like, another 50 unlocks to do on the unlock list.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a whole... If someone asked me, I very much enjoy Vampire Survivors, should I get a DLC, and if so, which one?
Yeah.
I'd be... Look, unless you're, like, a super mega hard, like, Among Us fan. Like, the Among Us one is, like, very creative, very unique, very original. It is... Up until this, it's the one that I would have said is the most interesting one to pick up. In terms of, like, it's doing stuff the others aren't doing. This is now, like, hands down, the Castlevania one is the one I would say, like, it feels the most in theme with existing Vampire Survivors while giving you a lot of Vampire Survivors for your money.
Yeah. I enjoyed what I played of it. If I had to rank them so far, I would say that the second one, Foscari, was probably my favourite so far. First one is probably my least favourite.
Yeah, the Legacy of Moonspell, I think it is. Yeah, Moonspell didn't have my favourite set of weapons. Because the thing about the Moonspell weapons is that they are good once you get them up and running, but they are not good basic utility weapons for the start of a run. And particularly when you're doing something like if you're trying to do the Legacy of Moonspell adventure mode, and you're being given mostly the DLC weapons to start with, none of them have, like, the overall beginning of a run coverage you need to, like, be able to rely on.
Yeah, there's a couple of those characters that are really hard to start a game with.
Yeah.
So you very often end up with particular characters, if you're starting a run with them, like turning off some of the curse stuff from your permanent power-ups. Just turn it off before you go in, because otherwise you're just not going to be able to go.
And it's one of those... I'm glad I played the DLC in that in a different run when some of those DLC weapons show up, sometimes I go, yeah, actually I am in the mood for that.
Yeah.
When I've like already got like 4 weapons and one of the Moonspell ones shows up, I'm like, yeah, sure. I just don't want to start a run with them.
I'll happily take them as a second.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but like, not... There's a couple, I can't remember off the top of my head now because it's been a while since I went back to that. But yeah, there's a couple that just start so weak. Or the characters themselves are just so weak to start with that it's really difficult to get going.
But yeah, the Castlevania one's really gripped me. I am still working my way through it and I'm having a very good time with it.
It's meaty.
It's a meaty one. It's been scratching an itch. What about you? What else have you been playing?
Well, the other thing I've been playing a lot of in the last week or so is Lego Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars.
Okay.
It's not a strong entry.
Yeah,
and maybe it's because I have played more modern Lego Star Wars games more recently.
Yeah.
But things like, after you've played through on story modes, or at least most of the areas, to then go, here are the, like, free play missions, some of the Lego Star Wars games, or Lego games in general, I can't remember when it started, give you this option where, yes, you can, like, flick between the two characters that you've got set as player 1 and player 2, but also you can just hold the, like, swap character button and just pull up the menu of all of the characters.
Oh, yeah, you can just chop and change as you wish.
Yeah, you can't do that here. So you've got to go to a terminal, change your character, go back to where you wanted to do the thing, and if the thing you wanted to do required, like, 2 or more characters... Yeah. Especially when you're then going like dark side, light side characters, you're having an even harder time. Like the number of times it's been like, oh yeah, okay, so I need a Sith on the Republic ship, and I also need a robot. The robots are all dark aligned, so everything around you is attacking you. And it's like, well, this actually isn't fun.
Yeah,
I just wanted to like do the mission. I wanted to, like, go and unlock extra characters, but it's like, no, okay, I've got to get a robot guy. Now I've got to get a Sith. Now I've got to get someone that can destroy gold blocks, someone that can destroy silver blocks. And also there's this whole new mechanic they've got in here where you're doing, like, ground assault battles. Where you're doing, like, area control. Once you've cleared out certain enemies, you get, like, a new area to start generating... like troops and aircraft from, but only certain of these areas can have specific types of like stuff on them. So like some can at the start will only let you have cannons, like really basic cannons. Then like some of them might be like, oh, you can have cannons and like troopers. And these one might be like, okay, fine, on this one specifically, you can have airships, but not ground ships.
This sounds weirdly overcomplicated.
It is weirdly overcomplicated. And do you know what's worse?
What?
There's a whole mode in it called Ground Assault, where you have to do them timed.
Oh.
And you have to try and basically, like, get through them. Like, then there were a couple of times where, like, a level made me do this area control thing twice in one level.
Oh.
And it really felt like it was just retreading over the same shit.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they stopped Lego Star Wars at the original 2, and then eventually coming back and revisiting for Skywalker Saga
Yeah.
because this is not great.
The Lego games are so all over the place from one to another. There is seemingly so little consistency of what to expect out of them.
Yeah.
They're a strange beast.
Obviously, you got the first two Lego Star Wars because they were just like the birth of the new thing.
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't bad. The first Lego Movie one is great. It's a bit simplistic, but it is like truly all of the things Lego can be.
Yeah.
And like a Lego adventure game can be. Lego Movie 2 is just too much of a departure from that.
Yeah.
And Skywalker Saga's really good. Like it's got a lot of good quality of life stuff, but because it changed, I think because a lot of people who had played the original Lego Star Wars wanted to have that like similar adventures.
Yeah.
Like, have the old levels, but with, like, new graphics. And they just didn't do that. And then, like, skipped over huge chunks of things. It just didn't feel like... It certainly wasn't what a lot of people expected, especially given how many delays there were. Lego Lord of the Rings was alright, but felt like it had been dangling for a sequel. Lego The Hobbit was dangling for a sequel.
Yeah.
Like, apparently there was one lined up for that, and it just did not happen.
I want to, in co-op with you at some point soon, play some of that Lego Horizons, because I've been playing a bit more of it, and I can't put my finger on what feels weird about it, and I feel like you will have a better historical context to talk about what the choices that game is making.
Maybe. I was looking at the Steam reviews for that the other day, because obviously we've had, like, the Steam autumn sale. I was like, I'll give it a look, maybe I'll see, maybe I'll put it on my wish list. And I was looking at the reviews, and like people who really like Lego games just go, nah.
Yeah,
this ain't it.
There's a lot of things that like you're talking about in like the Lego games you've just been talking about, where I'm like, so many of those are just not mechanics in this one. That like so many of those things that sound pretty fundamental to what the ones you like that just do not exist in features in this one.
Yeah, like I'm hearing a lot of people saying that like this feels like a cutback Lego game. This feels like it's, by virtue of the fact that you're not having, like, endlessly respawning enemies, you're having long periods of do a thing, move on, do a thing, move on.
I talked about this last Quops we did, that, like, there is a real feeling of, here is where the fight is, now walk through the pretty environment, here's the next place where a fight is.
Yeah, and if I had to guess, I'd say that was partly to do with we've introduced an XP system and we don't want you just, like, grinding the same three enemies.
I think partly that, I think partly they wanted to restrict themselves to the enemy designs from the base game, which there are not an infinite number of. Like, there's interesting things about it, but yeah, I'd be curious at some point to play just an hour or two with you.
But then if you look at Lego Star Wars, like, the number of times it's like, okay, you're fighting, like, specifically stormtroopers, or, like the one I'm playing at the moment is, like, there's clone troopers everywhere. There's battle droids, super battle droids, droidekkas.
I'll put it this way. Star Wars as a series has taken certain enemies and given them the status in universe of generic grunt.
Yes.
Whereas part of me suspects that the team behind Horizon don't want any of their enemy designs to feel like generic grunt enemy. In that same way.
Yeah.
I've been continuing to play it and continue to have like not a bad time. I've been having a good, if simple, and I can't put my finger on what's weird about it kind of time.
Yeah, because you're staying as Aloy for most of that, right? With the second player being friend.
Yeah, whoever the story currently dictates. Basically the whole game you're Aloy.
But there's none of this character is like your, this person can unlock this type of door, that person can unlock that type of door.
Not that I've really seen.
Yeah, because like Lego Star Wars, you'd have like your Astromechs, your Protocol droids. You might have like your Stormtrooper doors, Sith doors.
Nope, it's Aloy is the main character. Aloy can do anything that needs to be done.
Yeah, I can see how that's going to lose like a lot of the charm of collecting 60 different minifigs.
It is a strange game, and I can't. It doesn't feel like it's going to truly appeal to Lego game fans or Horizon fans.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing a lot of
in ways that are
saying.
like. It's a strange one.
Yeah. Have you played anything else?
I've been playing around with my 3DS because I now have a capture card 3DS for the first time in a while. I can plug a 3DS via a cable into my computer, and then if I wanted to, I could stream my 3DS games on the stream and not have to emulate them.
Oh, yeah.
And that means if I want to do shiny hunting in Pokemon, I can do it on original hardware and still transfer those shiny Pokemon I find into the Switch games for however long Pokemon Bank continues to run. Considering the 3DS eShop servers have gone down at this point, so who the fuck knows? So, I am in the process of reminding myself, what was I... Last time I was shiny hunting on the 3DS, where was I at? What had I done? Where am I? What's going on? Because I had been doing a bunch of 3DS shiny hunting, and I think I stopped around the time that, like... a lot of my 3DS shiny hunting was, like, after Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee had come out, and I'd finished the decks on those, and I was waiting for Sword and Shield to come out. And then Sword and Shield had such a big collection, it took me a very long time to finish shiny hunting that, and by that point Scarlet and Violet were coming out. So it's been, I'm going to say, the better part of, like, 5-6 years since I was, like, properly deep in 3DS shiny hunting.
Yeah, I don't remember in the time that we've lived here that you've been carrying a 3DS around with you.
At some point, I feel like it must have been about 5 years ago, because I know there was at least one time where we went to the place for getting laser, where I had a 3DS with me and was sat futzing about on my 3DS.
I remember you buying a 2DS. I don't really remember you having, like, much time with the 3DS. But
there was
forgetful.
There was a period of time in which, like, I was trying to remind myself what I'd been up to. There was a period of time in which I spent several weeks trying to soft reset Shiny Hunt for a shiny type null in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and apparently, at some point during that many weeks of soft resetting for that, I simply gave up and accepted a non-shiny one as the one type null I get in the game. I was like, nah, fuck this, I'm done. And moved past it. I was like, I don't know what was going on in life that I gave up mid-shiny hunt in such a way where I'm like, nah, fuck it. Fucking, I'm not doing that shiny hunt. But I might have to redo that playthrough at some point to regain the ability to shiny hunt that one type null. I'm trying to remember, I'm like, did I realize there was a better way for me to shiny hunt it that wasn't this?
Got to be a better way.
That's my suspicion. And, like, off the top of a bit of Googling, I think at some point shiny type null was offered as a mystery gift reward you could get in one of the 3DS Pokemon games. And if I remember right, I think there are fan servers that if you change your DNS to a certain thing and then click mystery gift, it will act as if that mystery gift event is still running and you can gain that mystery gift. Nice. Which that's my best guess, is that I gave up on that shiny hunt and was like, I'm gonna use the...
It's been 3 months of soft resetting.
I mean, I'm not opposed to 3 months of soft resetting for a thing.
I know, I remember you getting that Regieleki.
Oh god, that fucking Regieleki. The fucking Regidrago as well. Both of the new Regis were... Oh, they were hell. But, because, like, here's the thing. This is the main thing I remember from shiny hunting this type null, is that in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon you are given a type null by an NPC, and the default place where you're given this type null is after like a 40-second long conversation cutscene. So, like, if you're gonna shiny hunt it, like, there, in that moment where most people get that Pokemon, it's save, go through a 40-second conversation, get the type null, check if it's shiny, reset. But it turns out if your entire team of Pokemon is full, and all 32 boxes in your PC are completely full, and you can't accept the Pokemon, that NPC will apologize and say, oh, I'll meet you somewhere else later. You can then go make space in your boxes, and go back to where that NPC was meant to be. And you can go skip that 40-second conversation and just, like, save in front of the NPC, talk to them, did I get a shiny? No, reset. Okay. So, like, I did enough research to know that I could... I remember doing the work to trick her into not giving me the type null, so I could go somewhere where there would be a shorter per reset time I had to deal with. So, like, I was clearly invested in that shiny hunt. And I'm just deeply curious what happened that made me go, fuck this. At some point.
So you had a bad day.
Yeah, so apparently I had a bad enough day to give up on a shiny hunt, and that's very rare for me.
Yes, it is.
But that's been my experience with my newly modded 3DS, was getting myself back up to speed and going, I wonder what kind of day I was having that day.
A bad one?
Apparently a bad day. A bad day that repetitively doing the same activity over and over could not fix.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
That's usually what I do when I'm having a bad day. That's the fix for the bad day. What about you? You played anything else this week?
That's it for me.
Well then, time for this.
You've heard of sad lamps for when you're depressed by the season. Try Ed lamps for when you've had enough of the era. Our super-powered, highly focused light beams will cleanse the depressing capitalism from your life in moments. Ed lamps, that's EAD, Era Adjustment Disorder Lamps. Get yours today and deal with the capitalism destroying your life.
Right, come in, nerds, come in.
Hello.
I need help. I need help.
That's what we're here for. We are tech support.
Look, I spent all this money on buying this stupid social media site, and everyone keeps leaving it.
Well, yes, you've made it an absolute hellscape, and you brought all these Nazis in.
No, I'm smart. I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't ruin it. I'm smart.
Right.
They're leaving for no reason because they're all cowards. So I've been trying to get them to come back so that the advertisers will give us money again.
Is, then.
Well, I mean, I did try making it worse to see if that would make people come back. That didn't work. Look, I've been trying. I've been working on a super secret, top secret, very good, super top secret plan to get everyone to come back.
Yes.
And it hasn't been working, and I need you to tell me why it's not working.
Okay, well, let's
I've been going on my social media site that I own every day.
Absolutely.
And I've been writing posts
that
I'm pushing out to everyone's device to make sure that everyone sees them.
Yes, you made us put all of your posts at the very top of everyone's feed.
And those posts say, come back to my social media site, or you're a scared little woke lib piss baby scared of debate.
Right.
And they're not coming back.
Well, I mean, the problem might be that you're putting that on your site, and they've already left your site.
Well, I'm not going to put it on the other sites. That would mean making an account on the other site, and that would meaning I'm losing.
Well, how are they supposed to see it if you're only posting it on a site that nobody's on anymore?
Well, surely they'll see it when they check back in to make sure, I don't know, that they've not missed a DM from someone they only have there anymore, or something.
Well, I mean, if we look at the statistical average of most people's inboxes, the kind of people who did leave and haven't actively logged into their account in the last 3 months, their inboxes are mostly filled with slurs and bigotry and doxing.
What if I tweet it? What if I post it in all caps? Will that make it louder so they can hear it on the other site?
That's not really how the internet works, sir.
What if I shout it out the window of the office?
I mean, maybe if one of them is passing by, if you happen to see some blue hair and pronouns wandering past, perhaps that could do it.
It sounds like they might actually be scared little woke lib piss baby scared of debate.
Maybe.
Are they not afraid of being a scared little woke piss baby lib scared of debate?
Maybe, but they don't know that because they can't hear you because they've gone.
Invent a way for me to post on my site, but they see it.
I think that's called cross-posting.
Invent it now.
Well, that already exists.
Do it now.
That already exists. We can absolutely do that for you. We'll be cross-posting. You will need to enter some credentials here to get...
Nope.
Well, that can't be done then.
Well, I'm the one who bought the site. Work it out, or you're fired.
Have you considered buying that site as well?
Work it out, or I fire you and everyone you've ever known. From wherever they work, I will fire them.
I don't get paid enough for this. I haven't been home in a year.
You won't with that attitude.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
Oh, where to start? I watched Moana 2.
You did.
Which is an interesting film.
Apparently so, from what I heard.
Yeah, so Moana 2 didn't start life as Moana 2, a movie you were going to go see at the cinema. It started as Moana, the Disney Plus TV show. And the first, I believe it is the first 5 episodes of that TV show became the movie Moana 2. And you can feel that. There is like a very specific pacing to it that is like, we cannot be at any location for more than the length of one TV episode before the pacing dictates we must move on. There is a song every X number of minutes because every episode, like, someone decided every episode has a song. You can feel that less budget was put into paying for the songwriting. They did not get Lin-Manuel Miranda back. And for all the people that complain about the Lin-Manuel Mirandaization of soundtracks of animated movies, you can feel his absence. There is a lot of trying to do the follow-up to a Lin-Manuel Miranda song, not using Lin-Manuel Miranda and being like, there's a reason Lin-Manuel Miranda was getting hired for everything.
Is this Lin-Manuel Miranda from Wish?
This really does feel like you ordered the Wish version of Lin-Manuel Miranda in places. I was saying this when I got home from seeing the film. For a film that has, I believe, 11 songs in it, I could remember 5 words across 2 songs. Which I could tell you archetypes of song there were. I know there was a villain song, and it was something about having to get lost to find where you're going, I think. It's no crab doing a song about things being shiny.
Shiny!
There was a Maui does a song, but it wasn't You're Welcome. It was I think you can do it quite well. And some catchphrase he'd said like once or twice that wasn't memorable, but then became like the chorus of the song, and it was meant to, like, the song was clearly meant to make whatever that thing he said was be his catchphrase, but it wasn't a catchy enough song for that to work.
Oops.
The I Want song was, like, very aware of the fact it was a song in a Disney film. It was I am singing my I Want song in a Disney film. But, like, here's the thing. I had a good time watching it. Like, there was, for what was clearly 5 episodes of a TV show, it was 5 enjoyable episodes of a TV show that just didn't quite work as movie pacing, because there are expectations that a movie gives you about, like, how the pacing works and like, how the momentum goes that just weren't happening. And it's very weird to see something packaged as a movie that isn't. You can feel those seams. And also, if this was going to be a TV show, I don't know how they were going to do another movie, because, like, you have to kind of assume a certain percentage of people aren't going to watch Moana the TV show, but would go watch whatever Moana 2 they eventually made.
Right.
And some of the plot shit that happens in this is like, oh, I can see why you made this a movie. You're doing plot shit that is way too important to be relegated to a Disney Plus show.
Is this the Marvelization of the rest of Disney?
It's kind of, like, I'm going to try and come up with the best analogy I can for this without being spoilery, which is, imagine if we had, like, Iron Man had happened as a film, and then a spin-off Disney Plus TV show had been the thing to set up both the Avengers and Thanos. It's like, surely that should be the movie, the Avengers. Surely this is a big tentpole moment that we make a big spectacle movie out of.
Yeah.
It has some plot shit where it's like, you couldn't just go into a film after this and have people not go, wait, what the fuck did I miss? Because of some of these plot developments. And it does feel like they made this TV show and then realized the plot developments were too big to relegate to Disney Plus. Because, like,
But by that time, they paid for a lot of animation.
yeah, it's such a... It is a genuinely fascinating thing to watch as someone with a curiosity about the creative process behind it. Because, like, the way it's done, very clearly, like, the rest of this TV show season needs to happen as movies at some point, because it's very clearly setting up, at the very least, Moana 3.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't remember the last time, like, a Disney animated film this hard set up, like, ended on a setup for a sequel that kind of needed to happen to finish its story off.
Well, they got to do the other half of the TV series, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's usually Disney Pixar animation very much like, we want this to feel like a standalone complete story, and then if we make another one, we'll get around to that, like, 7-8 years from now. This feels like, I half expected this to end with, like, a title card being like, Moana 3 coming in 11 months from now.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like you've watched part 1, like, it felt like watching Wicked part 1, which we'll talk about Wicked in a minute. It felt like Wicked part 1 ends and it's like, it's good I only have to wait 11 months to see part 2. It's there's a lot weird about this film. It's a strange one. What about you? What you watched this week?
Well, since we've mentioned it, we've watched Wicked Part 2. Wicked Part 1, rather. We haven't seen Part 2. That's not out yet.
We have seen Wicked Part 1.
Yeah.
What did you make of Wicked?
I have seen the live version of Wicked twice. The first time, it was quite good. The second time, it was fine. Not worth the amount of money I paid for tickets.
Yeah, you didn't get one of the top tier casts on stage that day.
Absolutely not. I think I got everyone's understudy. But, you know, it's... Considering how expensive tickets for Wicked are, that's not a good feeling.
No.
So it was nice to hear the songs that I remembered from that show being performed by really talented singers.
They did a very good job of all of the casting in this, I think. Like, my one minor quibble would be Ariana Grande is very talented at hitting those high notes, but is occasionally a little indecipherable when playing in that upper register.
Yeah, there were a couple of times, at the very beginning, where you have hit a point where I cannot make out anything.
It was only really No One Mourns the Wicked at the start, where she was just really dancing around in that falsetto, and I was incredibly talented. I'm glad that nothing's being said that I need to know every word of. But clearly put her whole heart and soul into that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, generally speaking, I thought fantastic choice of casting. Ariana Grande, very good at being a kind of, you can't really rely on her, oh yeah, I'll be an ally until it's inconvenient-y kind of person.
And I'll be a performative ally. I'll, have my blue bracelet. I mean, I'll change my name by one letter.
Yeah, I'll change my name by one letter, not while the person is around to still benefit from it, but when it would get me brownie points.
Yeah. Because I care. I'm such a caring person.
Such a caring person.
Yeah.
I think they largely resisted milking any of the songs too much. I think my one it's my only little quibble is I think Defying Gravity, the big Act 1 finale, I maybe could have done without the reprise of Unlimited. In before the "So if you care to find me," you built the dramatic tension, and the release was meant to happen, and you were just yeah, we just got to get one more reprise of Unlimited in there.
Yeah,
and didn't hate it, but it wouldn't have been my first choice. The fact that these are the level of things I'm quibbling about, it was a very good adaptation.
Yeah. I think Cynthia Erivo is amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Sings very well, performs very well. Having a black Elphaba really adds to some of those lines in that film. The costuming in this film is amazing. The set design is beautiful, well done. And I also appreciate that Michelle Yeoh has just become... she's just typecast as the evil empress from Mirror Dimension now.
Yep. Marissa Bidet did great as Nessa Rose.
Yes.
Nice to see someone who is a wheelchair user playing Nessa.
Yes.
That is apparently not a thing that happens on stage.
Also worth a follow on TikTok.
Very much so. Fantastic costuming and choreography of dance numbers was superb.
Yeah.
That dancing through life with the rotating book room.
It was amazing, but also I get very uncomfortable when people abuse books.
No, I understand. I appreciate that.
Standing on the books, Fiero!
But that's the thing. He's meant to be an asshole who has no respect for the educational institution he is in. He is dancing all over those books, not giving a care in the world. We're meant to kind of hate him in that moment.
Get off the books, Fiero!
Yeah. We are meant to feel, get off those fucking books, Fiero.
And I did.
It was very hateable, Fiero. Yeah, this is easily the best musical to film adaptation I have seen. I cannot think of any other that holds up nearly this well.
I would need a very long think about that, but yes, I agree.
Yeah, it's real solid. My complaints are you maybe milked the big number song a little more than I would have liked, but if that's the kind of nitpick I'm doing,
you've got 11 months to go to the toilet and get ice cream before the second half starts.
Exactly.
Yeah. And considering that film is 2.5 hours long, I think, and the stage show I think is about 3 hours long. Something like that, 3.5 hours long. It didn't feel like they had injected a ton of extra stuff in there.
It didn't feel unnecessarily padded or bloated.
Yeah. It didn't feel The Hobbit Part 3.
The additions felt like they added rather than just dragging things out.
Yes.
It didn't feel like it was stretched to justify a two-part. It was like, no, the two-part does make sense, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, other stuff we've watched this week. We watched through all of Agatha All Along.
We did.
I really enjoy the WandaVision cinematic universe.
It seems to be the best one. It's the one. It's the first one that sort of started it all. The one that I think we've talked most fondly about of all of them.
Yeah, WandaVision very much one of the standout MCU TV shows, and Agatha All Along is fucking great.
Yeah,
it is very gay.
Yes,
it is about queer older women's sisterhood and also your one token gay teen with you. It's sisterhood of all types.
Yes,
I was caught off guard by some of the twists, and I think they did a good job of signposting them enough that when things got revealed, I was like, oh yeah, the signs were there. That's clever, that.
Yeah.
I think that there was some supremely camp performances going on in the best ways.
Yeah.
Everything was very over the top and melodramatic in ways I enjoyed a lot.
I loved that every time they went to a new themed area, and their costumes all changed to match whatever the theme was. Especially the 80s horror movie kids at summer camp, the camp counselors outfits. The 70s one where they were in the music recording studio.
It really is good. The general premise is there is a story of something, the Witch's Road. You make it to the end of it, you get a wish granted, and group of people brought together through their own bad circumstances attempt to navigate a road that is going to try and stand in your way and stop you getting that thing you're looking for. And it's got a very compelling structure. I think each episode is just long enough to not feel like it's rushing the problem of the week structure.
Yeah.
And still having time for overarching plot developments per episode. Mm-hmm. It just felt very snappy and keeping a good pace.
Yeah, and also a very hummable tune.
Yes.
That will come up multiple times throughout the series.
Yeah, I have found myself humming down the road, down the Witch's Road at myself. Pretty consistently.
Just, it is my earworm.
It is prime lie down in bed and just down the road.
Down the Witch's Road.
What about you? What else have you put in your eyes?
That's it for me.
Have I put anything else in my eyes? I'm finding out. We watched the first episode of a new Dropout show this evening. We watched the first episode of Nobody Asked.
Nobody Asked.
Which is a silly science show.
Yeah.
Is, I think, the best way to put it. It's people who don't know a huge amount about science ask a science question, a loosely science question.
This is to science as gastronauts is to cooking.
Yeah, I think I know how science works. I'm going to ask a question and then try and Mythbusters style solve the question. And to give you a sense, the first episode, the questions were, if I use the Doppler effect by going really fast in a sports car, can I make my voice sound higher so that I can sing a high C like a tenor? Can I put butter all over a professional sports player's hand so that he can't catch the ball good so that I'm better than him at sports?
How much jazz to fill a balloon?
How much jazz does it take to fill a balloon? Which we're all... I know the answers to all those science questions now. I know how fast you have to go while singing how high to make music happen. And how much jazz pop a balloon.
How much jazz do pop a balloon? That's the question.
Yeah. It's a fun premise. It was a good first episode. It got me on board with the concept. Yeah. Once again, Dropout, you continue having very fun shows.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a rash of good new shows, and I hope that means that there is like more consistent periods of programming.
Yeah, I can't remember where I saw it said recently, but I think it was an interview with Brennan Lee Mulligan, who hosts Dimension 20 on Dropout, talking about, like, when there was this whole period at some point recently where Sam Reich, who runs the network, was apparently basically going to everyone that was, like, established regulars on the network and going, cool, you're a regular on some of the shows we do, pitch me a show, go. Everyone who's a regular or stuff, you gotta start pitching me shows. And it feels like we're seeing the aftermath of that start to surface, is the, you pitch a show, give me more pitches, give me more shit we can do.
Yeah, which genius among them came up with the, I've always wanted a stand-up special?
I mean, yeah, it's... Dropout Presents, their run of stand-up specials has been real good. It's been very varied.
Yes.
It has been a very good tour of what can stand-up look like.
Yeah, some of it has been, like, more traditional stand-up, like the Adam Conover one and Hank Green's. And then you've had Vanessa 5000, which was technically traditional stand-up, but just a bit wild.
Yeah.
Or a lot wild. And then you've had, like, you had Brennan and Izzy doing the improv thing.
Yeah.
And then the other one with, which was supposed to be like Zack and Ali's thing.
Yeah, from Ali to Zaki, which was an improv troupe doing 2, like, half-hour-long extended stand-ups, improv scenes of someone shout out a location. Cool, like, the 12 of us are gonna spend half an hour making an improv scene out of that location you shouted. Yeah. Which involved the world's most chaotic tattoo studio, and what if the Wild West involved a toddler with a gun?
Who just shoots people a lot.
They're trying so hard to be a good sheriff. They get a little overexcited with the gun sometimes.
Maybe a 3-year-old should not have a gun.
I mean, look, they're going through Montessori school, you know, they're learning their boundaries. Yeah, it's been fascinating seeing, like, how much of, like, a consistent hit rate Dropout has had of, like, good content after good content.
Mm-hmm.
There's very little on Dropout that I haven't wanted to stick with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all the main stuff I've watched this week.
Well then.
Time for this.
Hey Laura.
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, this week's sponsor is, well, they're very quick to remind us that they're not doctors or indeed medically prescribed.
This is my favourite way for a sponsor to start, if I'm honest.
So these are basically meds. .lol.net. Because you always want your medication to come from somewhere that's ends in a .lol.net.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're apparently basically meds. What kind of meds can I get from here? Tell me more.
Struggling to get your ADHD meds?
Yeah, that's the shortage going on.
How about something that's basically that?
Basically
that, yeah.
Well, more or less that.
Yeah, you know, it might have,
less.
like, something in there. It doesn't say.
Oh, there's no ingredient list?
Yeah, you know how, like, some things would be like, yeah, it's full of ginseng and caffeine and...
things that aren't really my medication.
Things that aren't your medication, but are, you know, stimulants.
Yeah.
Well, this doesn't even bother with that. So this is basically ADHD meds for your basically ADHD med replacement. Here's some basic titty Skittles.
Okay.
They're literally called basic titty Skittles. They come in a white box with black writing on the side.
I'm looking at them. The shape and size, they might just be Skittles.
They might just be
like
Skittles.
Those Skittles they did for a while,
With
but
the
didn't have
S's
the colour
filed
on them, but the S's filed off, yeah.
Yeah, could be.
But they're basically, they said they're basically the same as my meds.
Basically
so, like,
meds.
probably not that.
Yeah. Do you need some basically Viagra? I mean, we don't.
We don't, no.
If you're someone that, you know, wants that in your life,
it'll basically do the same thing.
It'll apparently basically do the same thing. I'm I'm not getting that far behind it that I'll say it'll basically do the thing.
I mean,
according to the thing they're paying us to read,
Yeah.
it's basically that.
I would put money on the fact that an appendage will probably be impacted by it. Will it be the one that you hope? Who
Your
knows?
purse? Who knows? You'll keep me.
Oops, your arm's stuck out now.
Well, a sticky out arm. I guess you could hang clothes on yourself.
I'm sure that's what people were taking basically Viagra for.
Or we could stand you in a cornfield to scare the crows away.
I mean, if that's what you want to be doing for the next 4 to 6 hours, try basically meds.
If sticky out your arm lasts for more than 4 hours, consult your physician.
Except they don't have any physicians. They did say that at the start. No doctors involved.
Your physician, not their physician.
I see,
no.
Yeah.
So that's basically meds.lol.net. Enter the code Q&PS. Kind of meds? ? And you can get 10% off your first order.
Yeah.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, one of our very clever secret plans that no one was ever meant to work out got worked out.
How?
Well, I'll tell you which one to start. I'll start with which one. It was the, you know how we had Collection Mon Go?
Yeah, the thing we set up to make a giant map of everywhere, and we will we'll tell you to go places for special missions, and sometimes those places will, be in private property. But you need to get in there if you want that Kangas man.
Yeah, as we wanted to collect all the personal location data to be like, we want to, we'll look at where you go most often. That's probably your home.
Yeah.
We'll look at which shops you go into, and then we can probably sell you targeted adverts to those shops. And, it was like a fucking goldmine of marketing info.
Yeah.
9 years in.
Yeah.
They've worked out that the game we gave out for free was so that we could harvest the data, the
is
location data.
Is that not in the terms and conditions? I'm sure we put that in there.
Yeah, it is, but we used fancy words so they wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah.
And apparently
someone took 9 years to take a legal course, and they've finished legal school, and now they've read the T's and C's.
I don't even know if it was that. From what I can tell, it was someone stopped and thought about it for 30 seconds.
How? But we put so many colors and lights and flashing things and little sparklies.
Yeah, well, apparently not every single person on the planet who downloaded the app had ADHD. One of them didn't.
It's always one.
Always one.
Spoils it for everyone else.
Exactly. It hasn't stopped anyone playing, though, so
no.
I think we just keep going and hope that people forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, people don't care, right?
Yeah.
At this point, everything's stealing your data.
Exactly.
So why couldn't we have some of your data?
Exactly. And I did just get a really lucrative contract for us to sell that location data to the military, so we're going to be rolling it in days anyway.
You are a fucking genius.
I know. So are the drones.
So, what have you put in your ears?
I've put a bit of music in my ears this week. Yeah, so I have been listening to some music by an artist called Youngblood, who I was aware of peripherally.
I feel like I've heard the name.
I was aware that some of his songs were politically good. I knew he was pro-trans, I'd heard that much, and that his songs were quite politically direct. I'll tell you about 2 songs of his, what I heard. The first one was called Parents, and it is there's a little bit of rap vocals and some more traditional rock vocals mixed in with some electronic sounds. It's kind of hard to describe the sound of it. It is a quite lyrically chaotic and aggressive song in terms of its lyrical content. Early on, it talks about the perspective character of the song having his dad point a gun at his head and say, "If you kiss a boy, I will shoot you in the head." So the perspective character ties his dad up with gaffer tape, throws him in the shed, and goes and fucks his best friend on the lawn. The general sentiment of the song seems to be, hey, the adults running society are fucking shit up and not doing a lot to fix shit. and it's going to a certain degree, take the next generations coming up to fix the things that current generations just do not seem to care about fixing, with some very specific focus on a lot of the victims of gun violence in America today are children, and children might be the people who ultimately need to grow up and change the law in such ways that they kill America's current gun industry.
Yes.
And I was like, yep, that's pretty direct. That's pretty direct. I followed that one up with a song called Polygraph Eyes, which impressive if dark track. Impressive track to hear from a male perspective. It is a song basically going, hey, a lot of you fucking men are way too comfortable getting women way too drunk so that they, like, are not capable of informed consent anymore, and taking them back and fucking them at a point where they, like, can barely walk, barely speak. Don't fucking do that. She doesn't want to come home with you. If she is drunk enough, she could not run away if she didn't want to be in that situation. She's too fucking drunk for you to fuck her. Don't fucking do it. It's some good men calling out men on their bullshit behavior. Very respectfully delivered. And I was like, that's a damn good song, and well done, sir, for telling your fellow men to put it back in their fucking trousers.
Yeah.
And those two tracks were enough for me to go, yeah, you got some good shit going on. I would listen to more of what you got to put out, Mr. Blood. The other thing I've been listening to is I made some time to start listening to some of the new Linkin Park music that's been coming out since they've had a new singer. I listened to a track called Two-Faced. Very much has a sound of stuff off like Hybrid Theory, with some unexpectedly funky bass underneath it. Nice. It's nice hearing more like new songs from them that were written with the new singer Emily's like vocal range in mind, giving her more room to sort of do her own thing vocally, and I think it's all the better for it. She shows a lot of range from like chaotic animalistic screams to more melodic traditional stadium chorus vocals.
Yeah.
I listened to a track called Heavy is the Crown, which...
I know that one.
Yeah, this is one of the first ones. I think this was the first one they put out with the new singer.
Yeah.
Which very much feels like a direct response to, like, hey, I am very well aware I am stepping into big shoes, and having to stare down, needing to confidently step into what you know is going to put you in the line of fire for harsh critique and fight through it confidently. It's nice in some of these new tracks I was listening to today. The Emptiness Machine was a good example of this. Getting to hear Mike Shinoda, the person who most people will know as the guy who does the rap vocals, get to have more space on more of the tracks to not only be the vocalist for more of them, but to do more singing of melodies.
Right.
It's a lot of the tracks I listened to today, particularly The Emptiness Machine, give him more room to be the driving melody for portions of the song. And it's really nice to hear. There is a real feeling of shared lead on vocals in some of these tracks that was pretty cool to hear. Yeah, I was digging what I heard today.
Yeah.
What about you? You listened to anything recently?
Not really. I finished listening to The Shepherd's Crown, the Terry Pratchett audiobook. That is a very sweet final book for that series. I don't want to say too much about any of it, because right from the off, it is very spoilable. And considering I know a few people who don't know anything about that book, I am not going to talk about it here. And it's been, gosh, I feel like I want to say like 7 or 8 years at this point, maybe longer, since this book came out, and like, people have managed to not be spoiled about it. I think that's good. I know a few people who've been like, it's the last book, I don't want to rush to it, because that means that's it, there's no more.
There's no new material after this.
Exactly. Well, there's still technically more stuff if I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. But yeah, I very much enjoyed that story, even if between the story, it's the start of that story, the end of that story, and then the little bit afterwards talking about how that story came to be and Terry's condition at the time of writing is a a lot to manage.
Yeah.
Should come with many trigger warnings. But yes, good book. Enjoyed that. I enjoyed all of the Tiffany Aching books. I think they were very good indeed. And what about you? Have you listened to anything else?
That's about it for me.
Well then,
Time for this.
it's that time of year again when we can put a little fella on the shelf to keep an eye on the kids. That's right, it's definitely not a CIA agent on the shelf. He comes with his own wiretap, newspaper, dictaphone, and micro camera. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He's displeased by the government you recently elected and knows when you're awake. Definitely not a CIA agent on the shelf. It's for the kids. Are you custard maxing?
Yes.
Yellow pills?
Uh-huh.
Thick and tasty, powering up your play style. Try hot, try cold, zero added protein, zero added vitamins, plenty of decent levels of calcium. Caffeinated gamer custard. Chug it like you mean it. No, harder. Chug it like you mean it. This thing is really, really thick custard. Get good. Get good with custard. Caffeinated gamer custard. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Racial Justice Warriors.
Racial Justice Warriors?
Yeah. Alright, Larry, how you doing?
Oh, I'm alright. Harry, how you doing?
Well, doing my best, it's been a difficult couple of weeks. It's certainly getting colder, very chilly.
Yeah.
Got my hat on, as you'll see.
I sure do see. He's very snazzy.
Indoor
Very
hat.
snazzy.
Yeah, well, little buddy ears. Can't say no to
He's
that.
absolutely adorable, mate.
Well, thank you very much. I do try my little best, and your little pom-pom's also very good, mate.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, very, 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 very cutesy, I must say.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say it's been rough few weeks, you say?
Yeah, I've been, thinking about some things. Obviously, times are tough for everyone at the moment in a number of ways.
Yeah.
I think, especially since the election, in the US election, I've been hearing a lot of people saying, that things have been, very difficult.
Yeah.
People really struggling. There's a lot of concerns about, what next, and also a lot of people in the UK really struggling, especially since people thought things might actually be getting better under a Labour government, and it currently doesn't look like anything like that's going to happen. Especially when we've got a Prime Minister who's crossing the floor in order to shake hands and have a little pally chat with Nigel Farage. But I think it's a time when some people are feeling a lot more isolated than perhaps they might have done otherwise. And some of that, I've had moments of depression myself, long periods of depression, and it's very easy to, get yourself isolated and then obviously start to spiral from there.
Yeah, it'd be easy to feel like that period of depression is all that will ever be.
Yeah.
You sort of feel like there's no end in sight for it.
Yeah, indeed, and that's probably the worst thing you can do, separating yourself off, because even someone like me who struggles a lot with being social and stuff, I do recognise the value of spending time with friends, even if it is only to bitch about the state of the world and
right. Have reassurance you're not the only one who thinks the state of things is shit.
Yeah, not to feel like you are someone who is out of touch and spiralling and losing your mind because the state of the world around you is wild in a way you're particularly uncomfortable with. And, I think it's important at this time, and at times like these, should I say, to maybe check on your quietest friend who might be might be struggling a bit.
Yeah, it's making that effort to reach out and to make sure that if someone has gotten into that spot accidentally, maybe, of not being in contact with others, that you remind them, like, hey, we're still out here and in your lives and whatnot.
Yeah. And, I realise none of us are, therapists, except, I'm sure some people are.
Those of us who are therapists.
Yeah, except those of us who are therapists. No one in this room, certainly.
Yeah.
But, we can't be expected to, solve deep-seated problems of, emotional dysregulation or ongoing issues, but at the same time, just taking a moment to reach out and communicate with people.
Yeah, because I think it's worth thinking about the people in your life who, might be in a position where they don't feel able to reach out themselves.
Yeah.
And to just, be just a reminder that someone's thinking about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can make a difference.
Yeah.
That's it, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck.
Good luck, mate.
Good luck.
Right, I think I'll have a little lie down.
Oh, sounds delightful.
Nice. So, Laura,
Yes.
you do things on the internet, right?
I do.
And people would like to see or hear or
Would they?
read those things?
Well,
How they do that?
Laura K. Buzz. That's it.
That's
It's
you.
just the one thing. You'll find me on Patreon. That's what pays the bills. As little as $1 a month over there really helps. Find me on Twitch. That's where I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Find me over on YouTube. That's where I upload video-y things. Find me on Blue Sky. That's, at this point, the primary place where
That's
I'm
the
posting
good one.
stuff on the social medias. Just the Laura K. Buzz. You'll find me wherever. What about you? Where are you out on the internet?
Well, you see, I don't have the unified branding like you do, so I have a link tree. It's linktree.ee/Janiac, JANEIAC. You can find all of the things that I've created, all of them, every last one. Well, everything that's been released anyway. And you can help support me at patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. As little as $1 a month really helps me out. Well, that's everything. So, Laura,
Yes?
will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.